It is the largest antitrust settlement in Canadian history. A whopping $500 million settlement has been reached with George Weston and Loblaw Companies Limited in the nationwide class action lawsuit connected to the bread price fixing scandal. Joining us live now is one of the lead lawyers for the plaintiffs, Jay Strosberg, with more on this historic case. Jay, thank you so much for joining us. We really do appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Now, just to remind people, this bread fixing scandal, it came to light several years ago, and it was just surrounding several companies and grocery chains who were accused of colluding in order to raise the price of wholesale bread. That trickles down to customers who are paying more in this collusion scandal. Today, we have a settlement that was announced just an hour and a half ago. What's the significance of this $500 million settlement?
Well, first of all, it's a big win for Canadian consumers. So in 2017, the Weston Company and Loblaws announced that they received criminal immunity from the Government of Canada with respect to a bread price fixing scandal. There's no mechanism in criminal law to take some of the money back and redistribute it to consumers. So in 2017, when this issue became known, we started a case along with our colleagues in Quebec, and we've been litigating it for 7 years. And this is the first installment. We recovered $500 million. So after there's court approval, we have to figure out how to distribute it. We're going to be distributing to millions of Canadians across the country.
Okay, and that's the thing. A lot of Canadians will have this question as they watch this news come down, because we've talked about this for so many years, this bread collusion. They're wondering, am I eligible for some of that money? Is that the case?
Yeah, I think we still have to work those details out, but I think pretty much anybody who purchased bread in the last decade is probably going to get a check. Now, depending upon the amount of the check will depend upon how many people come forward, but it's probably going to be one of the most, probably the largest distribution in class action in Canadian history as well.
All right, and so George Weston and Loblaw's Company Limited had now settled. They actually put out an apology this morning as well to Canadians about this. There are other big names that are involved in this class action lawsuit. Metro, Sobeys, Walmart, Giant Tiger, huge grocery chains that are accused in this as well. What does this settlement mean for this ongoing lawsuit against them?
Well, conspiracies by their very nature are secretive. You have to think about it, they take place in a locked room. Nobody knows what's going on until someone like George Weston comes forward and says, okay, we did it, we get criminal immunity, and by the way, they did the right thing. They're trying to make it right with consumers, so good for them. But here's the most important part. I think what's going to happen now is that we're going to have insight into what happened in that room. We're going to have insight into who did what, who said what were the communications. So it's very hard to prove that without somebody on the inside. So that's what is the most important thing. This is the first installment, so we've recovered $500 million. Once we develop the evidence, after it gets approved, we're going to know specifically where to look now. So it's very significant for us.
It is significant. And then how many plaintiffs, I guess, are there? I know that's difficult to say. There may be Canadians out there, if you purchase bread, you may be getting a check. That's millions of people. Bread is a staple.
It is a staple.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a very complicated distribution and a very expensive distribution. Yeah. But, we have to give the money back to the people. I mean, that's what we're litigating for. Mm-hmm. So we're going to have to come up with a distribution protocol. It's going to be approved by the courts in Quebec and Ontario. We'll have an advertising campaign. People should check out our website, and we'll post more information as we go forward. But, those details are being worked out. But the short answer is we're going to be mailing a lot of checks.
All right. And lastly, are there any criminal consequences to, the possibility of criminal consequences to any of the executives who you may find within this investigation have been colluding, the ones who are on the phone and making these decisions? Anything criminal beyond just fines?
I think you were going to see that. I mean, I have no insight into that, but if I was a betting man, I would say that you're going to see individual people charged.
All right. A really interesting topic, considering that people are going to the grocery store and paying more for goods now. They've been watching grocery prices soar, and now we get at least a snippet of a resolution in this years-long case.
We do what we can.
All right. Jay Strosberg, thank you so much for joining us. We really do appreciate your time.